till the end. Welcome everyone to the Sunday Roast, and Mike, you're back again.
I'm still
you're
alive.
back again with the Roast Masters.
Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate it. I know I also appreciate being alive in 2026, although not so much this week, maybe.
Why is
Not
that?
very
Because
great.
we're starting to realize that we've got to ask
Well,
that question: Is Britain America's bitch?
yeah. Have we always been America's bitch?
Wow, your faces are just fucking priceless.
It's like,
There, you both reacted like maybe. Go
no,
on, Mike.
that's
Sorry.
possible. Well, I mean, since we paid them back for the Second World War, handed over our entire empire 70 or 80 years ago to pay for it all, basically, yeah, we've been their bitch all that time, haven't we? Basically, so it's I don't know.
I mean, he said that we never helped him, and
I've always said, will they be there if we ever needed them? And that's really the ultimate test. And I'm not sure of that. I know that we would have been there or we would be there. But will they be there? And let's hope that that never happens. We've never needed them. We have never really asked anything of them. You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines.
you know, all those dead British soldiers were never existed.
932 British soldiers since 9/11 died on behalf of American oil, basically.
But according to Trump, that never happened.
No. Well, we didn't do anything to rescue his golf courses, did we? So, you
know. Yeah, you balanced the two. I shouldn't laugh. I
mean, talking of America's bitch, though, Tony Blair is on Trump's board of peace, right? Alongside all the worst leaders in the world, including Putin, Netanyahu, you know, a bunch of countries that only Graham Hughes has ever visited, basically, and Tony Blair.
So can you explain to our viewers what this board of peace is, if just in case anyone?
I don't think Trump can explain what it is. He announced it today at Davos. I think there's about 20 members that were on the stage, and he's inviting everybody. He is going to be the president of life of the Board of Peace. So even when he's, if he loses the next election, if there is a next election, then he will be the president of life of the Board of Peace. It was originally muted as the way to fix Gaza post ceasefire, and now it's become an alternative to the United Nations. And it costs, any of us could join apparently if we just offer him $1 billion. And then we could be members for life. So
it's just another grift.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What's he going to do after? No one's going to pay attention to him once he's stopped being president. Do you think this is like a double?
He said he's going to stop being president.
He's going to stop him. We should show him some respect, basically. I mean, look, he stopped the war in Greenland this week. So, you know, there was a mad despot dictator trying to take over Greenland, threatening NATO, and Trump managed to stop it by the end of the week. So that's pretty good. That's 9 wars he's stopped now.
They're going to have to give him that Nobel Peace Prize.
He's already got the FIFA Peace Prize, so, you know, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
What was Infantino thinking when he did that? Honestly.
Foldable. Honestly, I don't know.
But he gets nothing from Trump. Maybe
World Cup's in America, isn't it? He's trying to curry favor with him. That's what.
But he's already got that. So what's
but
difference?
he's gonna be in the in crowd, isn't he? So he's gonna probably make more money off like Americans and things like that. He's gonna be you know, post FIFA, he's probably gonna be like a celebrity or something over there. It's so like, you know, he's trying to curry favor with the guy in charge.
I guess the last thing you want at the World Cup is ICE running onto the pitch and arresting the entire Argentinian team. It's like, you know, it's not good optics for FIFA, is it? You can imagine that happening, can't you, though? If you didn't give him a peace prize, then Trump would take umbrage, basically, and just arrest all of the teams except the USA. And maybe
like
Sweden.
USA...
Maybe he'd let Sweden still play because he likes the Swedes, basically.
thought he got upset with him. Are you joking slightly there? Because the
Well,
Swedish
didn't you
Prime
say
Minister.
didn't you say the
Oh,
other
it was the
day that
Swiss. I beg your pardon. It was the Swiss. I made the
he
same
fell out with the
mistake.
Swiss? Yeah,
Yeah, because apparently the
yeah.
Swiss Prime Minister didn't give him enough respect, so he hates him now.
Or a Rolex. That was the.
Or some Nazi gold, but let's face it, he's probably got plenty of that in his house
in a lot
Trump
of ways,
Tower, hasn't he?
I think. Did you see Mark Carney's speech at Davos this week?
I've not. I saw Zelensky's and I saw Trump's. I've not seen Carney's.
Carney was pretty good, actually. And Rachel Reeves was pretty good on her panel as well, at challenging Lutnick, is it? The Secretary of the Treasury in the States. A lot of the ones that don't get reported because they weren't solving the Greenland War, which, again, we should thank Mr. Trump for stopping that one. But Carney's speech was a clear sort of, look, the world order that we've lived under for the last 70 years, let's be honest, wasn't really working. It was working for America, and we got McDonald's out of it. So, and PowerPoint or whatever, and
The
American
EU?
hegemony around the world. Well, he's talking on Canada's behalf, talking on Canada's behalf in particular, and what he calls the middle countries. So countries like Australia, etc., that are not up there in the Second World War winning countries or the EU and are not necessarily in a trade bloc that works for them anymore. And he essentially was just saying, look, it's not a transition in world order, it's a rupture in the world order, and we need to do something about this. We essentially need to make investment better into our countries, work out what we're going to do militarily. There was a report this week by a Canadian institution, I can't remember which one, that's been looking into, they gamed a war with America in Canada, and they basically said we'd lost about 2.5 days.
Canada would lose in 2.5 days.
Yeah. And essentially their war games then took on, they started looking at what did the Taliban do in Afghanistan.
That's what I was
basically
thinking. And the
in order to just make it fucking awkward for America to steal our trees over the years, basically. But that was pretty much how the game came out. So Carney's quite right in saying, look, economically it's not really worked for us. We've traveled on their tails, but fundamentally they are now blackmailing us for economically and with military protection, and we can't afford to do that. And Europe has said the same. The only arguably Starmer arguably he keeps doing all right with hindsight, but when you sit and watch him, you kind of go, fucking hell, can't you just say, why do you use fake tan, Donald, or something? Just say something that makes it obvious that he's a nightmare bully. But in the end, quietly just saying, hey, we don't agree with this and we're going to go and have some meetings with you is probably the right thing to do in the end.
I think Alistair
not going to Davos. Not going to Davos.
Unlike
did a good job. Yeah.
Who had no reason to be there. He's probably spent more time there than he has in Clacton.
Well, as Phil on A Different Bias was saying today, he literally only went there for the photo op and he didn't get it. Basically, he didn't get to stand next to Trump. So.
Just desperate, isn't he? To be the non-globalist who hangs out with all the globalists.
Yeah. And 3 days. I mean, this is so typical of Farage, but they all get away with it, don't they? Farage 3 days ago was agreeing with the Prime Minister that it was wrong for America to threaten the sovereignty of Denmark and Greenland. And then as soon as Trump says, I'm not going to invade, he starts saying, well, I think it'd be a good idea if America owned Greenland. Within 3 days, he's changed his position completely, basically. That's welcome to our next Prime Minister.
Then I go, and you're not going to like this, and you'll probably disagree with me, but it's quite clever. All he has to do to get concessions is just, in his head, in his way, just verbally threaten tariffs, and he's got everything he wants.
What, in the way that he wants.
No, I'm not.
Has he?
Well, he got whatever he wanted from Greenland. We're still.
He stuck up an AI photo the other day of him planting a flag saying it was the 53rd state or whatever. And then 2 days later, he's saying we're going to build some bases and invest in extracting minerals. He's not really got what he wanted at all. He could have done that at any time. He
got his mineral deal.
Yeah, but being honest with you, Greenland, have you seen it? Like,
I
They've
agree
got
right
plenty of
now.
minerals, but I think Trump thinks you can just go and turn on a space heater, get rid of the snow, and start digging. It ain't
You
gonna
could
work. It's
go.
not gonna work that way. It's probably the most expensive place in the world to dig up minerals,
Do you
basically.
know what one of Elon Musk's ideas were for heating up Mars?
Nukes.
Yeah, it's going to nuke the poles
Yeah,
and melt the water.
yeah.
I'm just going, maybe they'll
Irradiate.
do the same with Greenland. They've agreed to put a nuclear bomb in the middle of it. Or a thermal, yeah. Look at
The,
Madge's Madge just looking so unimpressed. But this is what you're dealing with. But in his head, he has got the mineral rights. And maybe he
yeah,
could have done it a different way with long-term negotiations. But he's just very rapidly gone, right, we're taking out Venezuela, I'm going to get the oil. I think they just
yeah,
sold 500 million uh, worth of oil, and the money's going to Qatar. So
yeah.
that's going to go into their banks, which they claim is then going to go back to Venezuela. I don't
Yeah.
believe that for shit. It
The
just,
people of Venezuela are not going to see that money, except
yeah,
maybe the drug cartels and the current regime might get some of it. The there is an argument that the reason Trump has always been into Greenland is that the guy that now runs Estee Lauder, his name is Lauder, he's one of the
mm,
inheritors of that. Um, he's been buying shares in the mineral rights in Greenland, and the tech bros are looking for a country or a territory that they can roll out their ultimate oligarchy, basically, with robots doing all the work, which makes sense. Musk was talking today about 1 billion robots being released within 2 years to do all the hard labor in the world.
it's minus 40. It's just
Oh
not
wow!
going to, like, you can't run a military operation there.
You
Like,
just
you
turn the heating
can't
up.
do, gone.
You
Just
just turn the heating up. Yeah, you just turn the
yeah.
heating up.
Yeah.
Just turn the
I
heating up.
mean, Maggie, you've been without a boiler for 2 days. It's perfectly
Ah,
possible to
yeah,
function,
yeah, yeah.
basically.
And
Turn the
no
heat.
electric,
Yeah,
no
no lights. No,
boiler.
no, no, I had no lights. I was in the dark, like there would be in Iceland at this time, probably the day, pitch black.
It's,
But yeah, I think Trump did get what he wanted. To be fair, he won the battle without firing any shots at anyone really. And yeah, I think he's going to bully Europe some more because Europe conceded pretty easily.
As did, yeah,
I,
all the other NATO
I,
countries.
I'm not. I don't read it that way. I don't think sovereignty ended up on the table. Maybe Trump was just pushing that as go for the extreme and I'll get what I want. But Denmark and everybody in Europe has said if they'd asked, we'd have let them build more bases and do a deal on the mineral rights. So I don't actually see what I think he maybe he's short circuited it and done it quicker, maybe. But he's been talking about acquiring Greenland for 10 years.
The only
I think
I
exception
this.
is there was a big sell-off of US bonds, I think, by certain European pension holders, and that
Yeah.
has affected the shares or the bonds in America a lot, and that might be why he's pulled back.
Plus, I think the one thing you always have to look at. I mean, last week we were talking about war in Central America around Venezuela and Mexico and the Gulf, basically.
mm,
This week we're talking about a war averted with Greenland. I think the thesis I buy into the most is that Trump wasn't a successful businessman. He was a successful reality TV star, and he knows how reality TV works. And he's essentially running the US now as a reality TV show. And he just needs a new storyline every week to keep people interested and keep on the front pages and keep everybody talking. So he starts a war on Monday and he ends it by Friday. Starts the Board of Peace, basically. There's some controversy around that next week. He solves the Ukraine war next week. I guarantee that's what he's going to do because he's got Zelensky trapped in a hotel in Davos at the moment. So that's definitely going to happen. And Putin will not acquiesce to that. So then there'll be some saber rattling next week on that one.
I
It's
think it'll be
literally just,
Chagos. I think it's
yeah,
actually Chagos next week, actually. That's where I'm
yeah,
predicting. It's the obvious one, which he's already rumbling about.
maybe. But I think that was just because Mike Johnson came to visit Kemi Badenoch this week, didn't he, in
Yeah,
Parliament?
didn't he do a speech in the Commons?
Yeah, and then he had a meeting with Kemi Badenoch, and then she did PMQs, and she linked Greenland to Chagos. And the Tories have been going on about Chagos for 2 years now, haven't they?
They're the ones who started it, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's their deal. It's us doing the right thing internet. But this is Carney's point, I think, which is that the old rules, we're still playing by the old rules. That's what Starmer's doing. That diplomacy will work, that quiet contemplation and diplomacy is going to solve the problem, and that we should pay reparations effectively for our imperial past. And America's going, yeah, fuck that. We haven't even had an imperial future yet, so we're off. We're going to start acquiring everything. The Chagos deal is a pretty simple. We ended up paying rent on it so that we can rent it to the Americans. That's the deal that
That
we've
is the
done
deal, isn't it?
basically for 99 years.
It's funny how you say that's the way of doing things. I've referenced this now for a couple of weeks. Mussolini was the one that set the tone on how you deal with Hitler. When Hitler said, "I want to unite with Austria," Mussolini sent Italian troops to the Austrian border. Said, "You do that, we go to war," and he backed
Mm.
off. He gave instructions to the Rhineland. If he met any resistance from French troops, they were to pull out. And then we had a bit of a debate over Poland. My understanding is he wasn't expecting resistance, and then they declared war, but they were shit in the first months. And they should have taken the Rhineland minimum to knock out this industrial base and just stood there pretty much. They actually went in 40 miles, believe it or
Yeah.
not. I think they did actually go 40 miles into Germany, and then they stopped. They just didn't do anything with the territory they gained. But Hitler would respond. And you go, this is what you've got here. You've got these dictators who only the bullies. That's what he
Yeah.
is. A narcissistic, slightly mentally deranged bully who, is losing his marbles. I mean,
And he's being manipulated by his wealthy buddies constantly. I think this idea that he's doing reality TV, he tends to do things on a Friday that cause the stock market to have a problem that are very predictable. And there's a big dip and then a big rise in the stock market. And we all know that people cleverer than us are making a lot of money in both of those scenarios. So if you can control the dips and flurries in the stock market, you're making a fortune, and so are your friends. And then you've got the tech oligarchs who are constantly beavering away at him to get what they want, the future that they want, basically.
all you got to
Um,
do is give him a fake medal and a
yeah,
made up
and
medal.
a bit like Hitler, you buy into his ideology. Hitler's ideology, whatever it was largely the Jews are the problem, basically. But
Mm,
but Trump's is the brown people are the problem. It's not
pretty
any
much.
different, is it really? So you get somebody with a simple ideology, you puff them up and make them feel big and grand and let them try and invade small islands off the coast of Canada, while you get on with ripping the country to bits, basically, and reshaping it in your form.
Funny how you compared it to The Apprentice. I'd compare it to the WWE.
Yeah,
It's
it's the
a
Yeah.
new
same.
fight every fucking week, and it's
Yeah,
charging it up with someone, and it
and
is
friendly
to deflect.
friendly feuds. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. All to blow up anything about Epstein. Madge,
yeah.
what did you think of the Trump speech?
I'll be honest, yeah, I haven't really seen it because I was at work, so I've not seen a ton on the Davos stuff. 'Cause I think it happened today, right? The only thing I can really see on the headlines is Zelensky is looking to get an agreement post kind of Russia war, but I don't know if anything will really come of that because we've got to wait for the war to end. So I don't know. I honestly didn't follow a lot of the Davos stuff, but most of it was pretty boring. Last year was pretty boring. Um, Starmer not going is a bit of a surprise, but he's got that issue with Burnham, who is probably going to run in a seat near him soon. So I guess it
Oh,
makes
he
sense start.
is.
Yeah,
He's going for the
because
by-election in.
it's not confirmed, but I
No,
think
he's
he's going
not.
to be.
Yeah,
It's not confirmed, but I think he's going to be looking at it because Andrew Gwain was a guy they were pushing for him to resign in order to get Andy Burnham in that seat. So it's not guaranteed yet, but if Burnham was going to go for it, this would be his most likely chance to do it. So I think that's one of the reasons
yeah.
why maybe Starmer
Because
stayed
it's
home
a
as well.
it's a greater Manchester seat as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
So it works for
Starmer
Yeah.
loves a
Burnham.
photo op.
So
Get
wait,
the
is
picture of
Starmer
him.
against this or for this?
He's against it because it's like when Boris Johnson went to become an MP when Theresa May was there,
Hmm.
and you're like, yeah, no, I don't want the person who's going to replace me to have a shot at it. But yeah, if you get the picture of Starmer kind of picking up them papers in front of Trump, that'd be great because that's Starmer loves a photo op. So I'm
Yeah.
surprised he hasn't gone to Davos because he's like, oh yeah, here's my buddy.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
loves a photo op. Yeah,
maybe. I,
he
I
does. Yeah,
think I think him and the Foreign Office must have decided not to go for other reasons than
yeah.
Burnham.
I
I
think
think,
it's the Burnham thing to be honest, because they would have known for a couple of days now Gwaine was going to go resign because he's been negotiating his pension. Um, over the last, I don't know how long, but it would have been a while because he's going to resign. He wants to get his pension sorted because, yeah, he's done as an MP. He's going to leave on sickness grounds, even
What was
though
his
like
scandal in the end? Was it?
offensive messages towards constituents.
All right. Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
What
I
was
think they
he
were pretty bad.
sending?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he sent them. Yeah, and I think they were pretty bad as
Are we
well. And he
talking
got a lot.
racist or just swearing or?
I'd have to look at it, because I don't want to like,
I think they were pretty sweary
but
and
yeah,
derogatory. Yeah.
stuff where if it gets out, you're kind of done, and he's kind of done. And so yeah, I think Burnham will go for it. So I think that's probably why Starmer didn't go. He said he sent the very great speaker Rachel Reeves, who does not want me to hate myself every time she speaks because her voice is so nasally, and she don't have much to say. But
I think
they got their own
I
Burnham.
have a pet theory that those two are rarely seen in the same room, and actually Rachel
They're the same person, yeah.
is just Keir in a wig,
Yeah,
basically.
they're just a massive sleep aid. But yeah, apparently she beat Sunak at chess, so I don't.
She's a international chess champion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Is she?
yeah. She
yeah.
was like quite good in the juniors apparently. But I know
God.
very little about her outside of that. Apart from her sister has almost the same voice as us. That's really weird.
Yeah.
And
If you've ever heard
wait,
of,
you're not calling Starmer her sister?
could be. You've never seen them two
Could
in the same
be.
room either.
The
You got to be
nasalness
careful
of
though.
both.
This is the kind of thing that got Candace Owens into trouble. You need to be very
Yeah,
careful
yeah.
there,
What
basically.
about
Satire. It's
nasal
called satire.
noises?
It's satire.
No, accusing Macron of marrying his brother's uncle's sister's trans,
Oh,
whatever, basically.
I didn't see all of the detail, but she accused I did see she accused Macron's wife of being a man, and yeah, she's getting sued for that. So yeah, this is
Yeah.
satire.
Well, she specifically accused Macron's wife of being her brother, right? Who's not been
So
seen for 20 years, according to Candace Owens. But her brother stood up on TV and went, "No, look, I'm here." Basically,
the funniest thing is right that the situation with Macron and his wife is quite famous because of how old they were when they met.
yeah,
Google it.
she was his
Um,
teacher. Yeah,
Google it. That's what I'm gonna say. Google it.
This is
Yeah.
yeah,
Attitude Era. There is
yeah,
literally a storyline and taken off to be married. And that's
yeah.
the storyline. That's what we're fucking
Well,
dealing with here.
I think you're right. You're right. Macron, I think, is the best example of it. I think that they are frenemies. Right? You know, they behind the scenes, Trump and him get on really well, and then in public, Trump has to pick a fight with him because he can do a funny French accent and claim he's weedy. Basically, it is definitely WWE. They're just playing out politics for the foolish. You know, and I
I've
think
heard
people that
wrestlers
just
say that Donald Trump would fit the WWE. He
I
could
mean,
have gone in.
yes.
He did a whole segment
Yeah.
where
yeah,
it was about
yeah,
shaving your hair off. And there was the
yeah,
Battle of the Billionaires. And he got ripped into by this working class wrestler who did an amazing rip on him. Never seen anything quite like that in terms of someone speaking to Donald Trump like that. It was quite satisfying. But he was in there and they were all saying afterwards, like years afterwards, he's a perfect match. So when
yeah,
you're saying shit like this, I mean, he did the birther thing with Ivana.
yeah.
I'm currently surprised that no one has started doing the same and going, "Where's Melania's papers? Where are her parents' papers? Show us
Well,
the papers."
her
Like, if you want,
documentary's out in a couple
They
of
know
weeks. We'll
they know
all
she's
will be
foreign.
revealed next
They know
week.
she's foreign.
tune in
That's
next
not
week,
hidden.
folks.
Yeah.
That one's not hidden. I think the only people who are questioning her was the visa type that she got, because apparently you have to be quite smart to get it. That was the only
Yeah.
question marks over. Everyone knows she's foreign.
She got the same kind of visa as the guy that runs Google.
Something like that, yeah.
She's like,
So
nah, I'm not sure that
She's in shit at the moment because she threatened Michael Wolff, the journalist who interviewed Epstein and has the Epstein tape interviews, and she threatened him. I think it was yeah, because Wolf said that she had met Trump through Epstein, and I think on the Lolita Express. So I think it was.
Yeah.
I think Wolf was that specific. I'll fact check that later.
Yeah.
And she went ape shit and basically called him out and threatened to sue. And she really fucked with the wrong guy because he doesn't take threats lightly. So he's re-sued her in New York on defamation charges and on the fact that she's using courts to silence a journalist, which is, I can't remember the name of the act.
slap.
But
There's a slap suit, is there? That's what it's
yes,
that's what it's
that's it. Yeah, it's a slap suit against Melania. But apparently she's now in hiding because he sent people out to subpoena her, and she's running away from him.
He's got to do it
It's
while she's in
fucking
public.
genius.
He's got to,
Missing
when
out.
she's on TV behind him, like Air
Yeah,
Force
yeah.
One. Yeah, you're gonna get some fucking guy
Well,
run behind
well,
him and like grab a paper.
she's gonna have to break cover in the next 2 weeks to promote this $40 million documentary that Amazon are starting to show next week about her.
Do you know
$40
who the
million
director
dollars for a
is?
documentary. Us guys have been in the content business. You get £40 million really often to do a political documentary all the time. It's quite a low budget, really, when you think about it. And it covers about 20 days before the inauguration. That's it.
Wasn't Bezos at the Trump's inauguration? Sort of bit. It's a bit dodgy, and giving her that much money to, or paying that much money to do a
Well,
kind of documentary.
all you have to do, once it's out, I think you'll find this one out basically. But NASA are about to issue new contracts for the moon landers because Elon Musk can't build one that will even go into orbit, let alone land on the moon. And Bezos is next in line with his Blue Origin lander. So 40 million, not a lot of money when you're going to get $1 trillion or so to build a moon lander.
Nothing, is it?
No.
Nothing. Did you see who the director is for?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he's got a history, hasn't he, with
With Epstein.
yeah.
He's in a picture with Jean-Luc Brunel, and he's got his arms wrapped around Brunel's chest. Now, Brunel's been in the limelight in the police light for since 1980s, like 88, probably earlier, because he was clearly trafficking women all the way back then. And he set up a modeling agency and would get women in from the States and all over the world and then make them models, but they become bankrupt. And then in order to pay off their bankruptcy, basically have to have sex with him.
It was the Epstein business model, wasn't it?
And loads of models in 88 came out and were like, and it's a 60-minute documentary, like, if I refuse to go to these parties that he's putting on, I won't get work. And they're like, how do you know? And they're like, because it happened to me. Like, that's his model. And he was confronted about it in 88, but nothing happened. But anyway, basically continued doing this, connected to Epstein, clearly trafficked girls to Epstein. And then I don't know how Ratner met him, but when they released the Epstein files, there was pictures of Ratner all over Jean-Luc Brunel, like around his waist and hugging him and everything. And of course, Brunel's in pictures with Epstein and Maxwell on the flight. I think there's one of Maxwell like giving him a toe job, for want of a better description, in one of the pictures. And you're like, Melania's picked that guy, who I think actually has sexual assault charges against him. I think 7.
Yeah, but he was a Hollywood director, wasn't he? And then when this all came out, his career ended pretty much. So this movie is kind of his redemption, which is just so typical, isn't it? That they get a $40 million bribe from Jeff Bezos and they use it to not only try and create a picture of Melania as some genius refugee that is the perfect first lady and definitely wasn't trafficked by Epstein into Trump's hands. And to do that film, you choose a director that was involved with Epstein. I think you made a great video about it, Alex, about his whole history, didn't you? I seem to remember on your channel.
I've done a few actually.
Yeah,
is it the one? The most recent one is the 88 tape where I take the clip. I had to tidy up a video I got from 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
And that basically 1988 exposed, I think the thumbnail says. I can't remember the title. But basically
all of it. It's like
history.
Even when you bring up the name Michael Wolff and you go, he's seeing her, and the problem with this whole WWE scenario that we're looking at here is that Michael Wolff is not untainted by Epstein in any way, shape, or form. The latest revelations in emails are that he was giving him PR advice after he'd been prosecuted. So you kind of go, all of these people are involved in a genuine conspiracy that the QAnon people and the Tea Party people should absolutely love. It is high-ranking Democrats as well as Republicans, tech oligarchs, Bill Gates, etc., basically, Woody Allen, all of them, all of our known paedophiles and sex traffickers are involved in this thing. And they're controlling politics. Steve Bannon is in every photo with Epstein helping him control the world. You can guarantee every member. Don't want to get your channel into trouble, basically, but
No, fuck
I
him.
think if we investigated Trump's new board of peace, we'd find an awful lot of those leaders had spent some time
There's not even
in
any
Epstein's
argument about
company,
it.
basically.
There's not even any argument about it. There's Barack, the president of Israel. The email exchanges are horrific.
Yeah.
Fucking horrific. And they exposed what was going on. Where the fuck is our British press talking about that? Peter Mandelson? Fucking Maxwell in a photo outside 10 Downing Street. You're going, was she the only one that went in? Or was it her and Epstein? What the fuck was discussed? I think it's Cameron who's the prime minister. So how the fuck did they get access? Because Mandelson's Labour. And you're going, not why has no one found Cameron and gone, what the fuck were you saying to Epstein? Why was he in 10 Downing Street? No one's done that. And then you go,
plus access to the royal family, which is not an insignificant thing in this. When you think about what's going on with Trump, and our only diplomatic tool appears to be to threaten not to have a tea party with the king, right? That in our country, that is a significantly powerful position. And Epstein was having tea with them all the time.
Have you seen the estate that Andrew's been given?
Yeah.
And that's his punishment.
Yeah, bless him.
So he gets all that money, but that's this weird apathy we've got. It's like we can't touch them. They're a class above even the upper class. And
Andrew Tate was interviewed this week on a podcast because he was caught at a nightclub doing Sieg Heils with a bunch of right-wing podcasters.
Yeah, the Kanye West How Hitler song.
Yeah, and Tate was trying to clean up his reputation in this podcast. And he essentially said, I agree with what Trump's doing about protecting the Epstein files because you can't lock up all the hedge fund managers in America. The economy would collapse.
And the way you were smiling, because I saw a lot of, everyone's texting me. You and I communicate, we have conversations together. You looked extremely uncomfortable as well.
He doesn't look uncomfortable, but he's going to frame it that way after the fact. And
that was his reason for not putting them out there. And you go, that's probably exactly why they're not being released, but it's not the reason that they shouldn't be released.
But that then means he thinks if you get into a high enough position of power, you should be immune.
Yeah, and they are untouchable, aren't they?
But they are.
Nigel Farage this week, £330,000 of undisclosed income in the House of Commons, right? Some of it from gold bullion companies and fucking OnlyFans or whatever it is he gets his money from. He's the highest earning MP in the House of Commons, right? I mean, just let that sink in. He's the highest earning MP out of all of the 650 MPs in the House of Commons. He's earning the most, and he failed to declare £330,000. And he just shrugs and says, well, what are you going to do? My people didn't count the money properly. It's difficult when you're a rich entrepreneur. And then he turns around and says, I'm going to Davos to put the voice of the working people into that environment. What the fucking hell? Give me 10% of your gold bullion advertising money, Farage. I'll agree with you. But...
How much would you both bet he's put no money, no personal money into Clacton? Like none. Like nothing has been invested.
Well, his girlfriend brought his house, didn't she?
Okay. So yeah, not
allegedly,
him.
Allegedly. It was his girlfriend his girlfriend's parents are very rich.
Well, and interestingly, as I remember, I think the house is somewhere in the region of £400,000. So that's a coincidence, isn't it? Basically, undisclosed income disappearing through his girlfriend, who's really got no money. Yeah, it's a nightmare. But they get away with it. They constantly get away with it. I find it incredibly frustrating. It's a friend of mine from Mexico. We were talking about Mexican politics recently, and she genuinely grew up in an environment where it's, what are you going to do? The cartels run everything. Might as well let America have a go at it, basically. It's a much more healthy attitude, because all of us sit here on podcasts going, Trump's done this and we should outrage. We're outraged. And then next week, we're even more outraged. What are we going to do? And you go, nothing except have a fucking aneurysm, basically. That's it. We can't do anything. There's nothing we can do.
What are we going to do, Madge? What are you going to do?
Not much, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not much changes. It's got an election, what, in a few years' time? Sort of 3 years, potentially, I think. So there's not much we can do until then. Council elections will be interesting, but like once you have an election, nothing really gets done. There's no change that happens. I can't see Starmer changing. I can't see Trump really changing that much. But you have to wait for more surprise kind of world leaders being taken out by fucking Delta Force or whatever Trump's planning next. But it's not much we can do at this point.
No, no.
Do you not think he might pop his clogs at the level of deterioration he's showing?
Never know with that kind of stuff. But people thought that during, term one. They thought he's going to die during term one, and somehow he lived.
Plus
So who knows?
three years of JD Vance in charge. I'm not sure I want that
Yeah.
either.
It's
Basically,
not much better, to be honest. So I don't know. I think it's kind of it is a bit shit. It's pretty shit at the moment. I don't think it's going to change for until we reach an election cycle. But with America, the Dems have got really no one to put up
no.
of significance, and they haven't bothered building anyone really. Their best shot is ironically the mayor of New York, but I don't think he's going to leave that post anytime soon. So
No.
the Dems are like complete dog shit. And then yeah, we got Farage who he probably might win an election here or win like a decent chunk of seats here
And
next cycle.
And the Dems, we were relieved when Trump lost to Biden, and then Biden completely screwed up the opportunity to shut down that operation, basically.
Mm.
4 years of going, well, we can't take our political opponents to court because that wouldn't look right. That's not the way we do things when we're gentlemen. And you go, well, you should have done. You're absolutely, you were saying off air that the special investigators giving evidence to Congress at the moment and ripping shreds through Trump's illegalities, basically. Biden and
Jack
his
Smith, I think it is, who
yeah,
resigned from I think it was the Department of Justice, and he resigned in 25. Mm.
yeah.
I wonder why.
And Biden and his head of the DOJ did, just drag their feet doing anything about this,
It's because
basically.
they don't believe they think that eventually the scope will get turned on them and then they'll get arrested for something. Same reason why Obama did go after Bush,
Yep.
because he was scared like he was going to commit some more crimes of his own, and he didn't want those to get investigated. So that's why you don't investigate your predecessor, so it doesn't
Yeah.
happen to you again. But Trump don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That didn't happen with Watergate. They actually have precedent for removing presidents for being outrageous.
That
But
was
this is
pretty
almost like,
brazen. Watergate
oh,
was like very public, and it was very much like you guys really need to do something here. Like, Nixon got caught out pretty badly, and then in the end, what he resigned, he got pardoned, and then nothing happened after that.
Yeah. But can you imagine right now? Scandal tomorrow. Donald Trump has sent some people into the Democrats' offices in Washington to steal a few papers from the photocopier. Scandal. A fucking terrible scandal.
But
Let's
when the
impeach
president does
him
it, it's not illegal.
immediately.
When the president does
It's
it, it's
like,
not illegal, so it's fine.
but it's like on the scale of shit that happens every week, it's nothing, is it? Nixon was probably one of their better presidents from that point of view.
He had
It's,
Cambodia, to be fair. So,
it's just changed dramatically. Yeah, no, you're right. Listen,
mm.
there's an argument that says that with Trump's frivolous scandals and just blatant public money making for himself, basically, at least he's not starting or continuing major wars across the world,
You
basically.
never know with that one because he nearly started a few, but he's lucky he picked on countries that can't really fight back.
Exactly. And he's
Um,
always going to do that because he's a cowardly bully.
yeah.
It's,
do you reckon he'll go for the Falklands next? It's full of oil. It's impossible for Britain to defend it. All someone has to do is start a rumor that the Russian ships are around it. And
well, they
then
are.
they
The
probably
Russian
are.
ships. I live in Brighton. The Russian ships go by every so often, just waving at us. Basically,
Well, Zelensky's speech fucking hammered that. He was like, why the fuck is Europe allowing all these tankers to go through European waters and they're clearly going to help Russia? Why have you not shut them down? I think I think Trump criticized that as well, like, and actually now have started operations. I think another one, another shit, like just before we came on, I think I saw another tankers being pulled up by France. I think is being boarded as we speak because it's clearly a Russian
this
oil ship.
It was the
it
the
goes.
Shadow Fleet, isn't it? That's what they've
Yeah,
got. Yeah, and
yeah,
they used to make money. But the thing is, if you cause an oil shortage of any kind, it spikes the price for everyone. That's why they haven't done anything about it.
yeah.
They buy oil from Kazakhstan that's gone up by loads. In terms of volume, but it's Russian oil. Everyone knows that.
This is the problem with us not switching to renewables and nuclear. We're controlled by oil and fossil fuels, and
Yeah.
we don't have that. Like, I think it's what we've got: North Sea and Romania in the EU, and that's it. Like, there is no other oil to be found.
There's Norway. I know Norway's not technically part of the
That's
EU, but
North
Norway.
Sea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Norway's a big oil supplier, but that's about it.
Well, no, Europe effectively has got nobody in the EU that's producing oil.
That's it. There's three countries.
There's us and Norway. I mean, isn't it interesting?
And Romania. I think Romania's got oil fields still.
They've got some, haven't they?
I think. They definitely had it during World War II. That's why the Germans took Romania quickly, because they needed to secure oil.
Trump in Davos today was saying that the UK are stupid because we've got 500 years of oil under the North Sea that we should be drilling.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
500 years.
It's just garbage. Who the fuck is telling them this shit?
Might take 500 years to get
entire
out.
fucking speech they did was rambling gibberish.
Yeah.
Rambling gibberish.
Yeah.
None of it made any sense. Alistair Campbell booed him and then got told to hush up by other world leaders.
By world leaders.
And he was spouting shit. Like, I would have. Go on.
You can totally understand how Hitler rose to power, can't you? You're a historian, right? I think increasingly, the older I get and the more this cancer bites into me, I just sit back and go, this has just happened. It just happens over and over again. Every 100 years, we end up in a situation where, we've been a very lucky generation to have grown up without a significant world war happening and a shift in the power balance. We've lived under this rules-based system for, in my case, 60 years. And now it's changing. And then you've only got to look back 70 or 80 years to see that it changed then. You've only got to look back 70 or 80 years before that to see that it was us and the French and the Spanish fighting all these things, and before that, and before that. I was talking to somebody the other day about it, that Trump landing Marines on oil tankers is no different to Queen Elizabeth sending out Walter Raleigh to steal Spanish gold. You don't have any of the expense of digging it out of the ground. You just go and steal the ship full of it, basically, and sell it to Qatar. That's how we got rich.
Yeah.
It's a short-term plan, and it will end in a world war, but it just seems to be cyclical, really.
You've got morons like Reforms saying they're going to drill it out, and you're like, okay, you can drill out that oil, fine. You won't give it to the British public. You'll give it to companies. You'll get a bit of tax revenue off it, and it won't be much, because we know the longer we drill those sites in the North Sea oil, the higher the sulfur content is. Yeah. And the higher the sulfur content, the more it costs to process, the less profit. Shock, it's shit. This
is the argument to unite the Reform voters and the Labour Party now, right? We practiced this the other day. We went on one of Trump's pirate raids and took over an oil tanker in the North Atlantic, didn't we? Sent some SAS in or whatever. We can't compete with America militarily. If it came to a war, we'd stand about as much chance as Canada in fighting them off, basically. So we should just go back to Elizabethan days, ramp up the jingoism, and say we're just going to go and steal American tankers whenever they go past, basically. We launched the Walter Raleigh SAS squad in a helicopter from Cornwall, basically. And it's like, and we'll just get rich again, stealing other people's oil. That's the way to do it.
I always quite like the brazenness that you saw in The Simpsons, where Homer gets a load of sugar and this British guy keeps turning up and drinking tea.
Uh-huh!
Hello.
All right, pal. Where'd you get the sugar for that tea?
I nicked it when you let your guard down for that split second. And I'd do it again. Goodbye.
He's just brazenly helping himself to the sugar. And he has no qualms about it, but he's so honest that he's brazenly stealing it, and he's not going to stop.
This is how we built the empire, and now that there's a new world order, we should just do it all again, basically.
You have a flag. Unfortunately, most parts of the world do, apart from, apparently, according to Trump, Somalia has no flag.
Elon Musk at Davos today was talking about putting AI server farms in space. That's what he's now pitching to his shareholders. 3 years' time, we'll be building AI server farms in space, which saves real estate, and you get the power of the sun. I don't think he's calculated the
He
amount
thinks
of
it's
water you
Dr.
need.
Octavius, doesn't he? The power of the sun of the palm of his hand. Fucking hell.
He really does. He was talking about the sun being worth 99.9% of the energy, and if we turned Jupiter, this is what he was genuinely saying on the stage of Davos, and his shares went up as a result. If we turned Jupiter into a nuclear reactor, it would still only burn up 1% of the fuel in the solar system, basically. So he's going to put AI farms in space. He hasn't thought about how you cool them, because they get very hot up there if they're just pointing at the sun all day long, basically. So how those computers are going to run, don't know. It doesn't need to work that one out. Robots will do something about that. But I just think, well, what we should do is invest in a small SAS unit with a little spaceship to go and steal his server farms. Fucking ours now, mate. Basically,
Blame the Chinese.
Special space service.
Yeah.
What was it called in Ricky Gervais's extras? Super Army Soldiers.
Super Army Soldiers.
Super Army
Absolutely.
What does that stand for? Super Army
I reckon.
Soldiers.
I reckon I could sell this to reform voters as a plan. I'd be massively into this.
Really go back to the old days of pirating.
Yeah.
As an economic model for Britain.
Totally.
It's as good as any other plan they've put forward.
It worked for us before. Basically. That's the line.
So the good old days when we had a navy.
Yeah, make Britain great again, genuinely. Basically,
if you find the oldest reform voters and be like, "Do you remember when you were a kid and the British Navy was good?" Yeah, we can bring it back.
Yeah,
we can bring it back.
And
Who's going to stop us?
We build our spaceships out of oak that we carve from the New Forest, basically. It's fucking perfect.
Trump was talking about bringing out the old World War II battleships and bringing them back on into recommissioning them because he liked the look of them.
Well, they look
They
nice.
look really cool.
In fairness to them, they do look nice. Yeah, they did have cool ships back then. So,
but totally useless.
Get the biplanes out and the what's it called? What was the Spitfire? Or was that the British one?
The British one. They had the
Mustang.
Yeah, get a couple of those out, and Russian military got no chance. What's their what their MiG's going to do against a good old Spitfire?
I've got a story for you.
Slow, don't they?
I've got a story for you though on that one. The British took out the Italian fleet in World War II, and they used their old biplanes to take out the fleet, which was all state of the art of equipment. The reason why apparently the Italian guns couldn't take out the British biplanes that they used to torpedo those boats is because the biplanes were moving so slowly that they couldn't adjust the guns.
Yeah.
See, it's genius. They'll never see it coming.
It's true, because it's like you say, you put a Spitfire up against a MiG, basically. The MiG will just go straight over the Spitfire, and the Spitfire can just carry on to Moscow, basically.
Did they ever verify that the Ukrainian guy shooting down the jet with his farm gun? Did that ever get verified? I swear I saw a video of it, and it was before AI was able to chuck out crap.
A Ukrainian from Cherniv, who in March 2022 opened fire on a hostile aircraft, received a medal from the State Border Service. This is one of the most interesting stories of this conflict. At the beginning of the war, Russia constantly bombed Cherniv. On March 5th, defenders of the city shot down one of the Russian planes. Valery Fedorovich was among those who opened fire on the combat jet.
Блять, упал. Сука.
Just, going back on these older stories, that guy that organized all those lorries full of drones to drive into Russia.
Oh, that's genius.
And the guy that organized it was basically a DJ. And you just go, why is nobody making this as a low budget film? This is a £3 million comedy drama, basically, isn't it?
It's like Dad's Army, isn't it?
Starts off in a rave in Lviv somewhere, basically. You're just going, hey, I've got an idea. Do you know Zelensky? Yeah, I do. Right, okay. Here's the idea.
That would make a very good movie. They are twisting to new tech, though, to take out the Russians. We would taking the pit. We were sided with the fact that the warships look cool, but they'd be completely obsolete. And I was just thinking about the drones. They've
Army of
set a
drones.
target. They've got a new defense minister in Ukraine. I can't remember his name, but they've set a new target of building more jet drones because they've realized they killed 35,000 Russians last month. Their target now is 50,000 using the aerial drones. But the ground drones, or the ground robots, I think it's unmanned ground vehicle, UGVs. There was one, apparently, I think during December, that held its position against Russian forces for 45 days. One UGV. And you're
And the point
like,
with the aircraft carriers is that they've also got water-based drones that can travel hundreds of miles.
oh, really?
And hit you right on the waterline of the ship. So all the aircraft carriers would be taken out. The argument for, I mean, again, this is about history at least resonating, is that I think Ukraine has basically been the equivalent of the Spanish Civil War to the Second World War. It's where the superpowers get to practice war. And as you said, biplanes at the beginning in the 1930s, all of our air forces were full of biplanes, and then we start making single wing planes, or Germany does, and they start sending them over to Spain to bomb their civilians, and that's how we learned to deal with their air-based warfare. And tank warfare was a new thing in the First World War. It became a major thing in the Spanish Civil War, and then when Spain was depleted, they didn't take part in the Second World War because their job had been done. Basically, they were the test ground. And I think Ukraine is the same. I think they'll be the world's best drone warfare supplier to the superpowers that fight it out next. And the question is, will they be controlled by Russia or will they be controlled by Europe at that point?
Well, Russia at the moment's got such a heavy embargo on it. That's why they can't build these vehicles. But I'm also a bit disappointed that this hasn't been pushed more with Ukraine and our own development. I wrote a book called Manufactured Fear. Not Manufactured Fear, that's a wrong plug. Wrote a book called Changing Nature of Warfare. And it looks at warfare changes between, I think, World War One all the way up to about 2016. And we already had unmanned ground vehicles back in 2016, which they were using in Iraq because it's a nightmare going house to house. And I'm just going, that's 10 years. And they only really started to build this in Ukraine in the last, I think, 2 years, I think was the I mean, I'm happy to be wrong on that. Maybe it was a bit earlier. But only in the last couple of years, like basically since the war started. And you're going, what the fuck were you doing in the meantime? And why was no one developing stuff like that before?
Well, I think you need a war, don't you? The problem with the military complex is that if you can only make so many bullets before you have to set some off, basically, and in order to keep your business going,
That's why a lot of companies in Germany and other countries don't want to ramp up production for shells because they're going to be stuck with a load of shells in a few years' time that no one's going to want to.
It's going to be drones,
use.
yeah.
So
I literally bumped into the business minister Peter Kyle the other day. He's a Brighton MP, and he's apparently, and I can't find it, but he was saying he'd got a big announcement to make about AI and drone development in the UK this week, and it's just been lost in the Greenland War story, basically. But apparently, we're putting a few billion into that in the UK at the moment because we want to become the predominant drone warfare supplier.
It's the UGVs. It's the ground vehicles you want. That's where you'll make because historically, whenever you look at anything from an aerial warfare perspective, you're never holding the territory, and that's generally how you win. There's sort of key things that generally mean you're going to win, like you capture the capital city. Generally, not always. Generally means you win, and taking out infrastructure that keeps the war effort going, you generally win, or you just have massive defeats of armies and they can't replace them anymore. You generally win. I mean, these are obvious in some ways. I mean, taking a capital city is an odd one, that you take a capital and then the entire country collapses is pretty wild. So with that's the problem with the aerial stuff. There's limitations to it, and generally in history, there's very few examples of where aerial bombardment has caused a country to collapse. I think the Netherlands in World War II is one.
But then you
I don't know
could
many
say that
others.
Britain kind of survived the Second World War onslaught because the Germans didn't get air superiority. So,
Well, it actually created more of a resolute. That's where you get the word or the phrase "blitz spirit" from, because you haven't got the ground forces supporting this aerial bombardment. The populace just becomes hardened, and more resolve is seen against the people that are doing it. It's very rare for
which is what's
for
happening.
capitulation. So when
That's
you go
what's
like,
happening in Kiev, basically. That's
yeah, he's
people
not
shrug their shoulders
without.
when another bomb goes off because there's no soldiers following it up.
I think last week they took out, and this was quite a shocking thing, but this is standard within warfare. You'll see these dramatic changes. So you might have at the beginning the offensive side is really powerful, and then it'll flip at some point to the defensive side because technology will be created to deal with it, or vice versa. So it's defensive and then it goes offensive. 86% of the missiles last week in Ukraine were shot down by Ukrainian anti-air batteries, and I think, sorry, 86% of drones, 70% of missiles. That is a fucking huge number. And the thing is that Russia's got such an embargo on it that actually building the tech and getting hold of the tech to be able to produce stuff like that is getting harder and harder for them. Whereas Ukraine doesn't have that. It's got the world's industry, in theory, to be able to go and produce these UGVs. That's where you want the money. And you can't occupy an area with a robot. I mean, not in their current state. Maybe when they're able to walk around like a Musk Optimus. But yeah, like there's going to have to be a big shift. But it looks like if Ukraine can pump out those vehicles and those drones, like it'll change everything. Because if they start causing 50,000 casualties to the Russians a month, which is their new target,
isn't it? It's the industrial scale of these and the cheapness of them. You know, you talk about an aircraft carrier. Imagine an aircraft carrier. I honestly don't know the numbers, but what is it? 20 or 30 planes on a reasonable size aircraft carrier, some bombers and some fighters in defense and some guns on the ship. Take all the planes.
I think it's
off.
more. I actually think it's more than that. I think like
it might be on the American ones. Yeah.
The aircraft. I guess you said like medium size, but some of the bigger ones, I think it's a lot more than that these days.
Yeah, yeah. And but just replace all those planes with thousands of drones with bombs on them. It's pretty easy to pull a ship up outside Nuke and just
no drones. And no pilots.
We own Greenland now, and every house in Greenland has just got a drone hovering over it. You're going to give in pretty quickly, aren't you? Basically,
yeah. I mean, again, I just go back to the fact that Greenland's got minus 40. Like most American equipment cannot deal with that. You will not be able to get artillery working. You will not be able to have ground forces operating there long periods of time. And any of those drones will not be adaptable to minus 40. Like, I'd be surprised if they were.
Trump does appear to be picking his wars in countries where batteries won't work, so you have to send humans in. Like Minnesota and Greenland at the moment. I think it's -4 or something in Minnesota, and like,
yeah, fucking ice.
Send an entire army in to fight there. He's obsessed,
and he won't back down either, will he? But have you started seeing that the Black Panthers supposedly have come out and there are citizens? I've only seen one citizen coming out in the street with a fucking rifle and standing there waiting for ice.
Agent ever run up on me, I guarantee you they won't. I'll put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's gonna happen. They touch me. Unarmed woman was killed by ICE. If you think you're about to come and brutalize the people while we're standing here.
In AI slop land, I find it increasingly difficult to be objective about any content I now see. Because when you see a film like that, you go, I'm going to have to analyze whether that's true or not, because it looks too good to be true, basically. You know, if you think back to the 60s when the Black Panthers armed up and stood there on state capitals, it wasn't dealt with in the same way. And those ICE guys are mad, you know, they are thick as shit and badly trained, basically, and looking for a fight constantly. So it's like you see these films of NYPD cops arresting ICE agents, and you think, pretty certain that's made up, pretty certain that's not happening, you know.
Although the police chiefs in Minnesota came together this week and said their officers are now being picked up.
as law enforcement community, have been receiving endless complaints about civil rights violations in our streets from U.S. citizens. What we're hearing is they're being stopped in traffic stops or on the street with no cause and being forced to demand paperwork to determine if they are here legally. We started hearing from our police officers the same complaints as they fell victim to this while off duty. Every one of these individuals is a person of color who has had this happen to them. One particular officer that shared her story with me was stopped as she passed ICE going down the roadway. When they boxed her in, they demanded her paperwork, of which she's a U.S. citizen and clearly would not have any paperwork. When she became concerned about the rhetoric and the way she was being treated, she pulled out her phone. In an attempt to record the incident, the phone was knocked out of her hands, preventing her from recording it. The officer had their guns drawn during this interaction. If it is happening to our officers, it pains me to think of how many of our community members are falling victim to this every day.
They're not being read the Miranda rights. So that's that whole spiel that you get from the police officer when they pull you over. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do, say blah blah blah.
Well, they
which
can't,
is illegal
because they can't actually arrest anyone. They can detain people, but they can't arrest anyone.
We still have to be read your Miranda rights.
Yeah,
you can't. You've got this conflict between the Trump government and the Constitution. So like Jesse Ventura came out the other week and went absolutely ballistic and sort of announced he was going to run as governor.
As a graduate of Roosevelt High School and as the former governor of Minnesota, I'm so proud of Roosevelt High School and how they stood up for what is supposed to be America and freedom. And freedom is not arresting people without warrants. We have a system here. It's called a Constitution. And we have a party, the Republicans, who don't seem to want to abide by the Constitution. January 6th is a prime example of that. And now they're all free and they're in charge.
For Minnesota? Yeah. If you're aware of this guy? Jesse Ventura?
Yeah. I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, so he used to be he was a Navy SEAL in Vietnam, and then he became a wrestler for the WWE. And then he became a movie star, then a mayor, then a governor. And you're like,
perfect for Trump's WWE reality show.
Him and Arnold. Him and Arnold battling each other in the ring.
But the thing about the police in the Twin Cities is that there's something like 1,100 police employed by the state. And there's 3,000 ICE agents at the moment in the Twin Cities. And Trump is threatening to send the National Guard, which would be a battalion of at least 1,500. Right? They're outnumbered. Tim Walsh this week came out and pretty much begged the president to stop. Basically, that they.
That's how you win a Nobel Peace Prize.
No, that's how you win the FIFA Peace Prize.
I think that one's in the bag.
He really won it. He won it. This is the behaviour that gets you that.
What do you think will happen at the World Cup? Do you think people are going to go? Do you think people are just going to turn up and then start burning?
Yeah, people like say they're going to boycott or whatever, and everyone still went to the Russia World Cup. Yeah, I mean that's post Crimea as well, so I don't think anyone's going to. The World Cup is such a big event. I don't think anyone's going to boycott it.
I heard Scotland were planning as a protest to be knocked out in the first round. That's
in the group stage.
Yeah, just don't even try, basically. And then I've heard that the English team are saying that we're probably going to lose on penalties on purpose.
The Germans probably.
Just as a statement. I think when we do ultimately lose in the quarterfinal to the Germans on penalties, we just need to stand there and go, yeah, we're doing this for the freedom of the people of Greenland, basically, and then walk off the pitch.
The World Cup it's not going to go well for England, is it? So
no,
I don't know who's
or here's my other theory: we send an entirely trans team just to defy Trump. That's perfect, isn't it?
Oh, that would be good. But I mean, you just imagine ICE turning up, don't you? Every single time, anyone they deem.
I think they'll muzzle ICE. With that. I think they'll muzzle ICE during the tournament because it's too big. It's too big a stage to be doing stuff like that, and it's going to be difficult enough to police as is.
1936 Olympics. It was only Jesse Owen that caused the problem for them.
I swear.
It's it'll go fine because FIFA pulled off the same in Russia, didn't they? Basically, so
Yeah, people, when it comes to sports, people forget politics. That's what sports washing is all about. Is you forget all the bad shit and you're like, oh, it's a World Cup. Like, what do you associate with Qatar with? Do you associate them with human rights violations or owning Manchester City?
I don't know if you guys are. This is where I show my age, basically. But I remember the 1980 Olympics, where a whole bunch of countries boycotted the Olympics because of Russia, and we did really well. So everybody just goes, yeah, okay, we love it. Basically, you can imagine the USA, Germany, and some South American countries pull out and boycott it. Basically, the USA team will be in the final, won't they? So Trump's not going to mind at all.
It's going to be Argentina that wins it because they're
Do you think
full of Caucasians.
Do you think any team will have a fight with the USA team, like actually get into a physical fist fight with them?
I hope so. Is Iran going? Because if Iran are going, then yeah, potentially.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that Iran is, because they've expanded it this year, haven't they? I think it's like 32, is it 64 teams? Something crazy.
64, isn't it? I think
it's 64. So I know it's Paraguay, Australia, and then there's like 4 potential teams, but they're all European. So it's like Turkey, Kosovo, Slovakia,
I think there's a chance
Romania.
USA might meet Iran, isn't there, in the quarterfinals if they both got through.
Oh.
But also, FIFA have organised their Pride weekend on the first game that Iran are playing in the city that Iran are playing.
But you could do that with Trump's with the USA team every time as well. But then again, the women's team never turned up at the White House, did they? When they won, told Trump to go and stick it up his backside, didn't they?
I'm not going to the White House. No, I'm not going to the White House. We're not going to be invited.
You're not going to be invited?
I doubt it.
Leagues and teams love coming to the White House. I am a big fan of the American team and women's soccer, but Meghan should win first before she talks. Meghan should never disrespect our country, the White House, or our flag, especially since so much has been done for her and the team.
Which is quite funny.
I think you're right. Haven't they got the Olympics as well the year after?
I think so, yeah. I think they got both.
Los Angeles, yeah.
So if it doesn't go well, then people won't go to the Olympics, which would be...
I can't imagine. The only big problem they've got is it's called the FAA, the flight thing where all the planes kept dropping. That's the only terrifying thing, I think, for most people that want to go there. But that was last year's problem, I think. I haven't heard anything recently about planes falling out of the sky, but I think people go... No one's going to care. Like, the Saudis bought bloody Newcastle.
There's the price of tickets, but that's
going to be ridiculous.
It will become an elite sport anyway, and everybody in the stadium will be Trump supporters.
That's going to be the biggest scandal. It's going to be the price of tickets because it's looking ridiculous.
$150 a ticket.
Yeah.
And then there were Americans on the social media being like, "Yeah, that's a normal price." We're like, no,
they do. To be fair, they do pay,
ripped off for fucking decades.
They do pay a ridiculous amount for their all their live events, everything. So they've been getting ripped off for a long time now. So
I think the big issue is going to be
not the medicine,
which he said this week. His tariffs are going to bring down the prices of meds by 500%. It's just impossible. He's just so full of shit.
The problem with that is that, like, have you seen the film The Big Lie? The film about Trump?
Remind me.
No, it's called The Apprentice. Sorry.
Yes, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and it literally shows how Trump learned to lie and then double down and then make everybody look stupid because they're the ones that didn't double down on the truth. And that's all he's doing with that. Is if he keeps saying, "I've reduced drugs by 400%," people, a certain percentage of the population will believe that, and it doesn't matter because it can't. The man's not so dumb that if he made a mistake on that maths, he wouldn't keep repeating it. Basically, somebody has told him over and over again that if you reduce something by 500%, you have to give more money. Basically, he doesn't care because he works on the basis that most people they can't do percentages. It's like when they talk about billions and trillions and millions of dollars, right? To most people, those things are all roughly the same, right? You've got 10 million pounds or 10 billion pounds. Most people go, I don't really know the difference.
Yeah.
And you go to a trillion, and people go, it's like a big billion, isn't it? Right? And the reality is, it's 1,000 times that. If you pile up those notes, they reach the moon basically, instead of a million, which you could fit in your house. So they rely on the fact that capitalism and any form of imperialism has always given enough education to the populace to stop them revolting because they can't get any money, but never enough to take over, basically, never enough to understand completely what's going on.
Yeah.
So you have a small number of people that are educated enough to understand it. They join the Democratic Party in the States. And then you just make them the villains, and you say they're democratic left-wing terrorists, basically, because they understand what a billion is and how to calculate 500%.
I mean, it's straight out of the fascist playbook. But everything he's done, blame minorities, don't take responsibility for the economy, blame LGBTQ plus.
It's like explain why they need Greenland. He hasn't. He has failed every single time when he's tried to explain it, basically. Because there is no logical reason for it at all.
No.
Every reason you come up with breaks down. Today on the Board of Peace speech, because he goes off bloody script every single time, he ended up talking about the real reason that we needed Gaza was, I'm a real estate guy at heart. And I looked at that lovely coastline and I thought, well, some people are going to get very rich building properties on that coastline.
He said the same thing about North Korea as well, to be fair. So
he speaks the truth out loud. That's the way he sees the world.
See, the thing is, with all these extremist groups, and you alluded to this earlier, where you were saying this seems to happen in a cyclical process, like every 100 years we get a similar sort of thing. It's more whenever you have a prolonged process of economic downturn. And the fact is, like, no one's really resolved anything from the 2008 crash. Britain went on this huge, the population were convinced austerity was the way forward, whereas every bit of evidence was like, no, you spend your way out. Maybe you've got to borrow, but you spend your way out and you set up services and programs to get people to work, and you make sure the wages go up in line with prices. And that's what we've had, and it's no different to what happened in the 30s. There was a massive economic downturn. World War One, not so much. I mean, World War One was more kings being dickheads, basically, and greedy fucks. But the Crusades, the mental shit that the Europeans were doing to the Muslims was, they went. I mean, you look at the Crusaders, they make ISIS reasonable, which is an insane sentence to say, but it's true. Like, they didn't give a flying fuck who they killed. And they would do it with a sword, not with a gun or a bomb. They would go close quarters and they'd fucking massacre everyone. And you read it and you're like, right, you guys are totally insane. But in part, that was down to the collapse of the Roman Empire and the economic downturn. They went to this religious nut bar perspective on life. The Catholic Church and the Pope come in and they start preaching all this fucking hate about the middle. Part of the reason we didn't have cotton for about 200 years is because the Pope banned cotton being brought in. So everyone had to wear wool for several hundred years because of religious doctrine. Like, you can't get more fucking, like, they want everyone to suffer because they've made up some bullshit. And, like, you read the Quran, like, or Judaism or Christianity, their core foundation is all the same. There's elements that change towards the sort of new era within religion, but generally, they're all reading from the same hymn sheet about a monotheistic religion. And yet, they're willing to kick the living fuck out of each other. But you read what was going on in the Middle East during the period of the Crusades, they were all pretty chill. Like, they were willing to have an army and use military force. But, they had lights, they had public services, they had some of the most up-to-date mathematics, algebra. That's where we get the word algebra from. They had the beginnings of the invention of ice cream, which is like probably one of the most revolutionary foods ever. They had crop rotation being brought in, the development of coffee, cotton,
air conditioning,
air
water
conditioning.
supply.
And then here's the real fucking kicker. All that Western knowledge that had been developed during the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire, all the mathematics and philosophy and everything else, had been moved into the Library of Alexandria, which, you know, we can debate over who burnt it down. Maybe the Romans, maybe it was saved and then burnt down later and taken out by the Christians. We can debate that a bit. But the reason we've got all the materials is because the Middle East was economically stable. And one of the leaders out there basically went, fuck, I like this Library of Alexandria and all this knowledge. This is genius. Well, we've got to have the same thing. And they copied huge amounts of text. And that's why we have all this. I think there's even an example. So one of the Islamic philosophers understanding what the Big Bang was several hundred years before anyone else. And yet they're made out to be this split. And this is, you've got this with Musk at the moment, by claiming that the white population is going to be made extinct. It's like, we're all humans, dude. You fucking nut bar. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? History shows that, you know, it's the economics of the situation or climate change or war that causes all these problems and extremism. It's not inherent, which is what they want you to all believe.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that positive historical note, we've got to go.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Can't we deal with who built the pyramids? It was aliens, definitely.
Be sure to tune in next week for another exciting story from the files of Police Squad.